Hello everyone, News, Reviews, and more here, and today we're going to be talking about the deck Elemental Heroes. They're going to be very popular this format, our next coming up format, September format, and yeah, so everyone knows what they do, and they summon Alias, they special Bowman, they go to Blade Armor, they try to OTK you. That's one of the versions. Another version runs Skill Drain, another version likes to just be more conservative and just summon Alias and run Gemini Sparks and stuff. And there's one other version where you can just play anti-meta kind of Neos Alias style. But a lot of people are really looking forward to the OTK one, which is pretty much where you use cards like these two, which I've talked about in my Why is Stratos review and discussion topic with Stratos. You can find that video right up there. That video talks about how these are OTK viable, so you can find that out there. But anyways, I'm going to be talking about this deck in general and why it's so hyped this next format. First of all, it got hit a little bit. They put E-Call to 2. Let me move these up here. E-Call went to 2, and then Duality went to 2, and then Hero Lives went to 2. I have one Hero Lives, but I can't really find it right now. So yeah, that was what they hit off the ban list for this. Now, they didn't hit Miracle Fusion. They didn't hit Super Poly, and they didn't hit Stratos. My speculation was that they were going to hit Stratos, but they ended up not doing that, instead of hitting other cards that were less of a key component. Some decks only run 2 emergency calls, while others run 3. Some don't even run any at all, because they're playing some weird deck that doesn't even run it. Anyways, you guys know what this deck does, and I'm going to break down how this deck can still succeed and how it cannot succeed. It's definitely a great contender. It's probably going to be top tier, in my opinion. But already it can succeed because you have, pretty much, in general aspect, you have 3 Rotas. Reinforcement of the army, reinforcement of the army, reinforcement of the army. They pretty much all do the same thing. You're always going to search out something similar. That's why this deck is already consistent crazy. We lost the Duality, but guys, it's still good. Duality, this deck special summons, but they like to hold off their combos. And then third of all, I have 3, but I'm just going to show you one. They run triple Miracle Fusion. This card is just broken. You go into any fusion you want. If they warning it, you keep your heroes in the grave. The only problem with it is if they DD Crow, and then that's about it. But other than that, this card is just broken. You have 3 searchers, and you have double Duality, and yeah, you can run this card too, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. As well, you also have back row destruction. With Nightbeam being a new release and Gladiators, I don't know how to say it, whatever pack it is, I didn't really buy any, so I don't know what they are. You have triple Nightbeam. You can run triple. I only have 2 at the moment. You can run triple MST, and you can run a Heavy Storm. That right there is so much back row destruction, it's ridiculous. That is 5, 3, 6, 7 back row destruction. And then plus if you run Gemini Spark, that's 9 back row destruction. And this you can usually plus off of. Being afraid of Starlight Road isn't that big of a problem because you can bait out the Starlight Road and then Heavy Storm the rest. That's another great thing about this deck. It has so many ways to get rid of back row, which isn't going to be too big of a problem in this format because a lot of people fairies are getting popular, as well as agents are getting popular, and people are afraid of MST and Heavy Storm. So so the only deck I actually find that's this deck's weakness is a deck that runs really heavy traps, because they can actually break down the plays. They run Starlight Road, they could stop that, unless you draw to your MSTs and Nightbeams really fast. Next, I'm going to be talking about cards you can play in the deck to make the different kind of versions of the deck. The first deck I want to talk about is the Gemini Spark, Alias, Thunder King, Barbaros, Skill Drain deck. This deck I see having a good potential amount with this hero beat kind of version, but the thing is, it has some matchups that aren't the greatest. For example, we can go with Dark World, which I'm going to make a video about a little bit later. How Dark World is unaffected by Skill Drain unless they run Tour Guide and Fabled Raven. That's 3 cards. Other than that, this version against Skilldrain isn't good. This version against Rabbit, it's okay. This version against Windups, it's amazing. It depends. I would find it being a locals deck, like a deck you could run at locals. If everyone at your locals plays Dark Worlds, this is not the version to play. If everyone at your locals plays Windups, sure, run this version. What I'm trying to say is that pretty much if you run this version, don't take it to a big event. I wouldn't suggest that. If you are gonna run Skilldrain, definitely side it, because it's just not going to be a good contender for the first couple months, because Skilldrain hits it's just Dark World, you know. It doesn't hurt Dark World, it doesn't hurt Rabbit that bad, like I said before, and yeah, so definitely if you're going to play this kind of version with the Thunder King and the Beast King, side like the Beast King and the Skilldrain, or if you want, you can try to main it, but I wouldn't take it to a big event. I would probably take it to locals. Next, I'm going to talk about the original kind of thing. This is what I like to call it. It's just the triple alias. You run triple Gemini Spark. You run triple Miracle Fusion. It's just the kind of basic hero deck with Stratos. You run like you run like traps, but you don't run like Skilldrain and stuff. You run like Double Warning, Judgment, obviously, Bottomless, Torrential. Just kind of like, it's just like a basic hero deck. You summon Alias. You set the Gemini Sparks. You do a whole bunch of stuff. Gemini Spark is such a key card. The reason being is because if they space your back row, you can chain Gemini Spark, tributing your alias, targeting their monster, draw a card. So if you think about it, they MST'd your back row, right? They use an MST, you chain it, the MST's done, so they pretty much -1 already. Then you tribute your card, so it's a 2 for 2, and then to just destroy one of their cards, it's a 2 for 2, and then you draw a card. So you +1, they end up minusing. Gemini Spark is such a good card, especially with all these MSTs floating around. Next deck I just want to talk about Gemini Spark for a little bit in that deck. So the next deck I want to talk about is the one that has the most hype, in my opinion, is the Hero Lives version, where people run Hero Lives, triple Night Beam, triple Miracle Fusion, and you guys know how it works. They also run 2 Duality, surprisingly, just to get up their combos, and they also run Call the Haunted sometimes to recall the Haunted or Stratos, and Warrior Returning Alive at sometimes to bring back their Bowmans to their hands so they can special summon them again. This deck right here has a lot of potential. I'm just going to move all this over and show you the Hero Lives, because that's what this deck is. This deck has a lot of potential. The reason being is because it just goes off. I've played with this deck on Dueling Network before. You can find some. It's just crazy. If you look up some deck profiles, it won Japan Nationals or whatever. You summon, you go double Blade Armor, and now we have Excalibur, and that's just 4,000. That's 8,200 directly. 8,400. But there's a drawback to this deck. This deck gets hurt. If they don't go first and they don't have like the good stuff, like they don't have the combos and stuff, they're kind of in a bad situation. If they go second and your opponent ends up setting one of these cards, this deck without MSTs or Night Beams is kind of just like done, because if they don't have the MSTs or Night Beams, these cards stop this deck like crazy. I was playing against someone and he went all out. He had double Blade Armor or Excalibur on the field, and like he used Zephyros to bring back Bowman, special summon Bowman again, and went Utopia or something like that, and then he attacked, and then I Mirror Force. And I'm like, he's like, oh wow, and he kept top decking cards. It was ridiculous. That's why these two cards are just so good. I have a feeling that's why they brought Mirror Force to stop decks like this. This ban list was very smart in my opinion, because they actually made it balanced at some points. So that was a smart part on them. So Mirror Force 2 was definitely awesome, because this deck usually doesn't run Starlight Road. I don't know what they run instead of the third Hero Lives now, but we'll find out later if that deck even tends to top. So the next deck I want to talk about is Super Poly deck. Not really a deck I want to talk about. It's actually a side card. This card is spectacular. It has so many targets now, every target in the game actually. You can target any monster you want. The only problem with this card is it is a -1, but it can end up being a +1. If they have a Laggy on the field, you're evening. I didn't mean to say it's a +1, it's just an even kind of thing. But if you bring out, like, if they have a Dolk on the field, and you Super Poly, and then you destroy one of their monsters with Nova Master, I believe you get to draw a card, and that's a +1 in my opinion. So yeah, This card is good. It's just good. It's good. It's good. I don't know if people are going to be maining it, but I know they're going to be siding it for sure. Next, I'm going to be talking about how to beat the deck and how to, if you are playing the deck, how to prevent it from getting beaten. First of all, how to beat the deck, Thunder King. Thunder King Ryo is amazing. It stops all their searching with these cards, their E-calls, their Rotas, whatever. The dualities, it stops the dualities. It stops Stratos, it stops Stratos. Just, it's ridiculous. The only problem with this guy is that part. It doesn't stop Miracle Fusion, doesn't stop Super Poly, it doesn't stop MST obviously, it doesn't stop Gemini Spark. If you're playing heroes and you want to beat this Thunder King, you have Alias. It's a 1900 attack, even attack. So you attack, you crash, that's fine, you get rid of Thunder King, then you get to activate your other cards. You can Gemini Spark it as well, which it's an even amount of drawing. So Thunder King, definitely a good contender against the deck. Next, I want to talk about Compulsory Evacuation Device. It's a decent card. It's not going to be the best. Like, D-Prison is good too, and it's not going to be the best, but it definitely hits the Shining, so they can't get their targets. But then again, we also have D-Prison, which I forgot to put in here. But D-Prison is definitely a contender as well, because it removes everything. But the only thing I don't like about removing is if they bring out another Shining, they get more boost attack, which isn't that big of a deal, because you're probably going to remove a Shining to have him bring out another Shining, and he'll gain like 300 attack, but you guys know we could probably just D-Prism again. So these two trap cards are very important against the deck. This card is going to see play this format, but not as much as D-Prison. D-Prison is being mained in a lot more decks, and as well as Bottomless too. Bottomless is great against this deck too, but the only thing about Bottomless, make sure they're not running Gemini Spark when you side this in, if you main it, because if you Bottomless their Alias, they can just change Gemini Spark and do all their shenanigans like that. So we're gonna put these off to the side, and I'm gonna talk about. Oh, well, obviously you guys know how to get rid of all this stuff. Sorry, my apologies. MST, Triple Knight Beam, there you go, it's that simple. Next, I'm going to talk about Snowman Eater. Snowman Eater is a great contender to this format. I'm maining in my Dino Rabbit deck, as you guys probably know already, as I showed you in the Dino Rabbit discussion. And pretty much, you set this card. They attack with their Alias. You flip, you destroy Alias. They're like, dang, now I can't get over this thing unless I get Miracle Fusion, and that's about it, or if I overlay. And we're going to probably have something to stop them from overlaying, like a Thunder King. So those were the different decks. I want to talk about, actually, first before I end this, I want to talk about the Warrior Returning Alive. This deck, this card is very old, and it's really good, because say if you summon your Alias, and this is your hand. Alright, they're at 4,400. You summon. You have this in hand, you activate, you add Bubbleman in hand, you special summon Bubbleman, you overlay, and then you go to Blade Armor and attack for game. This card, just give it a try if you're going to run the OTK version. If you have something to fill in, try it out. I like it. It's just a good card. And as well as Call of the Haunted. Brings back Stratos, do all those crazy things. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this hero discussion. It was kind of short. Well, not really short. It was just kind of long, actually. I don't even know. But I didn't have too much to talk about it. I don't have all the cards. I apologize for that too. But let me know if you guys like this kind of video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.